All right. I think it's happening. What do you think, monkey dog? Hey, floor dog. Say hi. Monkey butt. Monkey butt. Monkey butt. Come on, you old dog. Come on. Let's say hi to everybody. Huh? You hip hop happening? Oh, you're a tired hot dog, aren't you? Yes, you were. You were so tired. Come on, buddy. Let's go say hi. Come on, you got it. You got it. Oh, you need help? You're just a tired old dog? Okay, I'll help you. We'll help you. Come on. Come here. Come on. Are you gonna do it yourself? Are you gonna do it yourself? Are you? Are you? You got it. You got it. Oh, she did it. Woo! There we go. I knew you had it in you, buddy. Your three legs are hard, huh? Okay, hello everybody. There we are. Woo! So, everyone's thinking, so over the weekend, while I was in New Mexico roasting, everyone was like, oh my goodness, these things are coming out with the DTCC, with Equinity, who took over AST, and that there's some sort of legacy stock that's going to make its way back. And then nothing happened. So here we are. And that's what we got. Buck the Bunny was eating a Somethingburger. And we got a Nothingburger so far. So it'd be nice if we got a Somethingburger instead of a Nothingburger. It'd be really great, wouldn't it? Meanwhile, we're going full authoritarianism. Donald Trump has sent the National Guard and all sorts of federal officers into Washington, D.C. to take over the city from the local authorities, claiming the out-of-control crime because Big Balls got beat up by some teenagers. And most people are pointing out that the Big Balls getting beaten up by teenagers thing is probably a false flag because Big Balls is only 19 years old. Is the son of a former KGB, or grandson of a former KGB agent, or son of a former KGB agent. Whatever, he's related to the KGB agent. And he's only 19, thus should not have been leaving a bar at 3 in the morning, because he's not old enough to be in a bar at 3 in the morning. And somehow got his ass kicked by a bunch of girls. So there was like, oh no, now we gotta send the military into DC and take it over and make sure that everything follows according to, Grand Marshal Trump. The funny thing is that if you ask AI who the most prolific criminal is in Washington, D.C., it's Donald Trump, who has the most felony convictions of any resident in D.C. So, there you go. He's also demanding that the Smithsonian must run every exhibit by him so it fits any aesthetic for what he thinks should be history people should learn. And if it doesn't fit his worldview, it will not be presented. So one of the great institutions of the United States is now going to fall by the wayside as it is used to fillet a piece of crap who's going to destroy this country and everything in it. Anywho, inflation's up. It's going to go up even more as more tariffs are slapped onto things. Although Trump did taco and give another 90-day extension to Chinese tariffs. And it looks like the Chinese aren't going to be doing absolutely zero negotiations with the Trump administration because they've blinked. Trump blinked. And they're like, meh, we don't need it. It's also fairly apparent that every deal Trump has signed has not actually signed anything. If there are no deals with Japan, there are no deals with the EU, there are no deals with Vietnam. There's no deals with anyone. So everybody just gets arbitrary tariffs slapped on them, and there you go. Exports are down, imports are down, retail's down, real estate is down, ag is down, construction is down. Bond auctions are a complete failure. Last week they had bond auctions for 3 years, 10 years, etc. All of them were miserable failures that they basically halted the auction halfway through because not enough bidders showed up to keep bidding. So yeah, we have some serious recession indicators. Oh, tourism is down. So yeah, it's ain't good. Anything else to add there, Monkey Butt? We're just gonna be a sweet little dog. Oh, you're so happy that I'm back, aren't you? Because you were. We pretend like you were. You at least you did yesterday. Now she's like, oh, that guy's back again. All right, let's hit the thing. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Wait, where'd my intro go? 4. There we go. Boop. Bing. Okay. Turn it off. Boom. It is off. All right, there's a couple of super chats came in here. I can't read that one. Says super something. Superman. I don't have enough room there. I can't actually read it. Maybe I can read on this side. Can I read on this side? Supermass Man. Supermass Man. There we go. Peter Zehan is now explaining why all the tariff agreements either don't exist or are impossible. We are screwed. Peter does a fantastic job explaining sort of global trade, politics, wraps it all up. He does a really great job. If you got time to watch his videos, I highly recommend it. He's often doing his videos from like New Zealand and always traveling. He's like goes on walks and just gives a nice talk, sort of explaining what's going on. He's right. He's 100% right. The tariff agreements do not exist and are basically impossible. For one, the Constitution lays out that tariffs are in Article 1, meaning congressional operation. The president cannot arbitrarily impose tariffs on anyone, according to the Constitution. Congress is failing massively in their duty by not pointing this out. It's because Congress is basically a bunch of sycophants who will do whatever Trump tells them to do because they're like a big strong man telling them what to do. So we have, God King Trump arbitrarily laying waste to our trade deals and economy with these silly tariffs because he doesn't understand how any global trade works. But my guess is that he is being used, or his ignorance is being used, in order to crash the U.S. dollar. They're going to crash the dollar so that the dollar becomes worthless and we become like, 12-hour a day, 6 days a week type workers, like Chinese factory workers. And that's what we're going to get out of this. So like, keep him being dumb as shit because that's what we're going to get. And all the, Peter Thiel, Curtis Yarvin crowd are like, we're going to have slave labor because that's all I've ever wanted. They want little peasants working the fields, doing what they're told by the leaders of their fiefdom. So it's lame. But yeah, these deals don't exist. And now suddenly they want to like give us a rebate from all the tariff money they made while we have just raised the deficit by $500 billion this year over last year. So you're going to tax us and make everything more expensive. You're going to collect that money and then you're just going to give it back to us. Then what was the point of the fucking tariffs? Like, okay, cool. That makes no sense. It makes no sense to me, the Supermass Man. Cameron Mirza, Tree for Monkey Butt. What's happening in Washington? Big Ball's got his ass kicked by some teenagers, supposedly, while illegally leaving a bar at 3 in the morning because he's underage. And now they use that as an excuse to take over the local government of Washington, D.C., and impose essentially martial law on the residents because of crime. The crime is down 55% since 2023. His own U.S. attorney praised that stat just a little while ago in a press release. It was like, it's amazing how far crime has dropped in Washington, D.C. And it's something Trump is going to do. First, he's going to do the Capitol, because if he has locked down the Capitol, then, he's got his little forces in there. But they're going to start targeting major cities in blue states for federal takeover. And it'll be up to the governors in these blue states to go, no. So if Trump's like, I'm going to call the National Guard up and they're going to take over the city of Seattle or whatever, it's up to Bob Ferguson to go, that's not happening. And to tell the National Guard, don't you fucking do it. You stay right where you are. And if Trump wants to send some other National Guard to the state, then it's up to the governor to tell his National Guard, no, they're not coming in, right? They have to be invited in, and I ain't inviting them. So we've got ourselves a real constitutional crisis on our hands, and yeah. So disasters are coming, man. Disasters are coming. So Nerd Alert was first. So Nerd Alert says, "Oh, using Pacer hacked by Russia. Thoughts? Thanks in advance." I'm very curious because it was hacked and it does appear to be linked to Russia. So Pacer is a pay-to-play site. So basically, if you want to get court documents, you can go to Pacer and you can download those documents for a fee. It's kind of expensive, but it's a repository for these court documents. Every court document gets uploaded to Pacer, whether it's released or not. So if it is a system where certain things are kept secret because they're not supposed to be released to the public, or they've been sealed or whatever, they're still in the Pacer database. And it appears as though those documents were accessible through this hack. Meaning, since the Epstein files would have all been logged into Pacer, and a lot of those haven't been released, theoretically, those may have been accessed in this hack. I'm wondering what else was accessed and for how long. But this seems to me to be if I were president, if I were president, I would chalk this up as an act of war. I would be like, hey, this is an act of war. Fuck you, Putin. If you come and land in the United States of America, we're gonna arrest your ass. Which is what he's doing. He's landing in Russia. If you saw this, Donald Trump has invited Putin to come and have negotiations about Ukraine in Alaska. Putin and his cronies are advertising and propagating this as if it is a victory for Russia because Alaska is actually part of Russia, and that they're implying that Trump is going to give Alaska back to Russia. Trump even misspoke and said that he was on his way on Friday to go have negotiations with Trump in Russia. So, they're definitely jumping all over that. Be like, see, he thinks Alaska's Russia. This has been a long-term sort of call by the Putinistas, is that Alaska is Russia, that it was actually a 100-year lease and it was never sold, that's rightfully Russia's. So if you're an Alaskan, if you're one of those, 600,000 Alaskans, the majority voted for Donald Trump, you apparently are now a bartering chip with Trump and Putin, whether you like it or not. Putin thinks he's going there to be your ruler, while your actual ruler is there to be alone in a room with him and probably give him what he wants. I don't know. But it's lame. It's very lame. It's lame all around. Case Chapman was second. Woo! Andrew Dowell, 9080. I got a horse racing tip for tomorrow if anyone is interested. Kempton, 8:45 p.m. Synergism, if any degen gamblers are watching. I have only been to one horse race in my life. So I don't know. Are they sure Kempton is the place? 8:45 p.m. is the race. And Synergism is the horse? Good enough for me. That's all I know. I went to a horse race. I bet on 3 races, and I won one of them pretty big. I went to the Prix Champs-Élysées. I think that's what it is. It's the big giant horse race in Paris in October every year. I went to that. It was a lot of fun. I think I told the story before. I was there with Clive Owen. I didn't realize I was talking to Clive Owen for like 4 hours. It's just 2 British dudes I was talking to and having a great time, just chit-chatting. And then my friend Jesse's like, you're talking to Clive Owen, right? And I was like, oh, fuck, that's who that is. The Queen Nora of Jordan was right behind us. She was up there. The French Foreign Legion marching band would play in between races and do little marches on the infield. And I randomly bet on a 25-1 horse to win one of the races, and it won, and I won 500 euros out of it. So it made it worthwhile for me. So that's my entire experience with horse racing. Is I lost 2 races, won one really well, and I've never been to a horse race again. I don't know what I'm doing. Pure chance. Z, oh my god, I can't read it. Z, oh my god, dude, with nub 6. 469. We have no way, do we? I'm not really sure if there's a way or not a way, but there is our existence. Chris Taylor, ZW8BF. Hi. I love that DC has its own Luigi bringing down the man with his hoagie powers and pink shirt. Long may he run. Basically, yeah, zero crime stopped, zero gang stopped, one federal agent hit with a Subway sandwich. They got him eventually, though, which is a real bummer. You know, you need to be a little more fleet of foot if you're gonna nail somebody with a sandwich. Jay Geyser, tell me some things you believe that others consider conspiracy theory. For instance, that naked short selling is out of control. Reason, generally pure facts are your trade pursuit. I know that naked short selling is a thing. It happens all over the place. We have leaked documents from the Overstock case where hedge funds were suing Overstock over their T0 dividend and lost, that show that hedge funds were, and brokers and market makers and everyone else was creating shares out of thin air to sell them without borrowing. And we have got admissions from, you know, former trading floor people who were like, yeah, we did these things. We just kind of like smashed the keyboard when it said who was the locate. And the reg show system allows to sell shares without actually having the shares via location. So things I would consider conspiracy theory, others would not. Like, I'm trying to think something that isn't mainstream, Monkey. If it isn't mainstream, I would totally be like, yeah, that's the thing. Where others do not. Because, like, I totally believe that Epstein had a blackmail scheme going on with rich people. That, you know, he would get them what they wanted and then would hold it against them, and then they would give him money, and that's how he made a huge chunk of his cash. I believe that. I think there was a conspiracy behind that. I think we are actively seeing that the circling of the wagons around that conspiracy to keep us from having access to all that information. But I think that's probably what was happening. But then again, I don't think it's outside the mainstream, because it seems like most people kind of feel that's what was going on. I think of, like, because, like, I don't think 9/11 it was an inside job. I think 9/11 was either purposely let to have happen or just pure negligence by the Bush administration. Because the Bush administration was warned about 9/11 in the August 6th, 2001 memo that was bin Laden determined to strike inside the United States, and Bush just went out and continued to clear mesquite off his property and didn't do anything about that. And so perhaps, you know, they're like, hey, let's just not do something, and then allows us to have a larger federal system to monitor everything that's going on. I don't know. Or they just were like, whatever. But there's documentation that when Clinton met with Trump before inauguration day, because you meet with the, you know, outgoing president and you chit chat with them and talk about, you know, the job, whatever, is it Clinton was like, sorry, I meant Bush, whatever. Clinton was like, hey, Bush, your number one concern is going to be Al Qaeda. It's going to take up all of your time. You're going to have to spend a lot of money and resources tracking these guys, because they're going to try and kill as many Americans possible. And it seems like Bush was like, whatever. And that may have been the result. But then again, like, you know, the pandemic response team met with Trump officials before 2016. It's like, hey, man, we're doing a lot of work on these pandemics. These viruses are trying to kill us at all times. We got these USAID teams all over the world just squashing them so nothing spreads. So you have to pay a little attention to this. And they just basically like burned the book and fired everybody. So there seems to be a nexus of incompetence, whether it's planned incompetence or just the result of it. Doesn't really matter, because we got to where we are as a result. I'm not one for like aliens inside the government. They may have come here. I've seen UFOs. I've seen things I can't explain. But I just, space is so huge. It's really hard to move across space without, you know, dying or taking like dozens of generations to get there. Monkey butt. What else? Chemtrails aren't a thing. I don't know. I may have to throw them out to me individually, and I'll have to be like, yes or no. I don't think dark matter is real. I've talked about this before. I think dark matter is just a misunderstanding of how physics works and poor computation. But other astronomers are like, no! But then they don't have any answers for when I point out that it violates, Newton's shell theorem, and that's not how physics works. So, some astronomers are upset at me about that. Brendan Wells, sup BBBY, sup No Labs. No Labs, I guess, has completed their offering, they said. Or maybe completed their acquisition, not quite sure. Their thing last week kind of made it sound like one or both. So I don't think they completed their offering. I think they completed the acquisition with Greg Kidd for the whole bunch of Bitcoin that he had. I don't think they've sold the shares yet to make up for it. So, BBBY, nothing. Here we sit. Weird things like value tags being added to ticker numbers, weird pending things happening with the bonds, but still nothing actually, no money in accounts, no shares have come. So here we sit twiddling thumbs and waiting. Oh, Lisa, Trump Burger restaurant chain Texas co-owner is a migrant whose sham marriage is getting his visa revoked and likely deported. Yeah, seems like that's an oops. Speaking of detainment of people, a friend of mine works at Echo Glen. That's the juvenile correctional facility out in North Bend, Washington. She's in charge of helping kids and trying to make sure that they live a good life after they get out of their correctional facility. One of her coworkers back in June, who's from New Zealand, took two of her sons to Vancouver to drop them off at the airport so they could fly home and visit family, and then came back with her youngest son across the border, and Border Patrol decided her visa was weird, and so they're detaining her and her son, and they shipped her off to Texas for the last 2 months with no communication. Her son is an American citizen. That's one thing. That she was married to an American, so all of her children are American citizens. They claim that her visa doesn't allow her to leave the country and come back in. Now, she originally was on a green card, I guess, because she was married to an American. But that American man, American citizen, beat the hell out of her. He was abusive. He was an abusive man. So when she filed for divorce, there's a special dispensation law that allows the victim of abuse to remain in the country on a visa and have work and all that stuff. And she was on that visa. So she was legally allowed to be here, legally allowed to work here, legally allowed to leave the country and come back to work, all those things. And Border Patrol's like, we don't understand, and just sent her and her son off to detention. Remember, her son is an American citizen. And the state of Washington and the state workers union are trying really hard to get her back. She's a counselor for really troubled kids. So not a very thankful job. It's a pretty miserable job. And it really, really, it's hard to find people willing to do that job who are qualified. And she's basically another victim of this crap that the Trump administration is trying to meet as many quota numbers as they can. She's not a criminal. She's an educated, knowledgeable immigrant who happened to marry the wrong person who used her like a punching bag. And her husband, who's an actual criminal, isn't facing deportation anywhere, right? He's fine to do whatever the hell he wants. He can go back and forth across the border all day long. Maybe not allowed in Canada if he was convicted, but it's just bullshit, man. And I'm sure you guys have your own stories where it's hitting close to home to you. I read about it every day from people. The ice cream man disappears off the street. The workers don't show up to work, and you find out that they're gone. It's bullshit. I mean, this is stuff that happened under other administrations at times. I had a coworker at a restaurant I worked in, and she's from Guatemala. Here legally, fully sponsored visa, totally legal, restaurant sponsored and everything. And she saved up money and saved up money and saved up money and saved up money. This is, someone who's like sending remittances back to Guatemala, so a lot of her paycheck disappears, but she saved up enough, and she was going to Disneyland, and she was super stoked to go to Disneyland, and it's all she ever wanted to do, dreamed of as a girl. Now she's like in her 30s. She's like, I have enough money. I'm going to Disneyland for a week. She gets to the airport, and TSA calls in some ICE person and they throw her in a detention center for 9 months. We had to raise all sorts of money, get her lawyers. I paid a significant chunk of that with my coworkers, and we got her out because they claimed that she was trying to like skip the country, but she wasn't. She didn't have a ticket out of the country. She had a ticket to Anaheim, Santa Ana, to go to Disneyland. That's where she. And then she was coming back to work. She was just on vacation. But that was under the Obama administration. So there is crap that happens under all of them. It's just that this is now like turned up to 11 and is awful for everyone because now we got these masked vigilante weirdos running around, not flashing badges, not showing their IDs, pretending like they've got warrants when they don't. I saw about a restaurant that got ransacked by ICE. I mean ransacked. I mean they went in and they stole the food out of the fridge and packed it into their personal vehicles and drove away with it. Like fucked up crap like that. Like these are just goon squads going around being goons, man. It's awful. But yeah, Trump Burger Man's, he had touched that red hot stove to find out that it was hot. And now he's learned his lesson. So you guys are COVID-19 lab leak to get mRNA approved. Building 7 was pulled. Iraq has weapon of mass destruction. Iraq base. LHO acted alone. Lee Humphrey Oswald acted alone. I mean, those are all things. I don't think they're necessarily lab leak. It seems pretty evident that it's coming from the wet market. Although there was a rumor that there was a janitor at the lab who was supposed to incinerate test animals, and he would bring them and sell the carcasses at the wet market, and that's where it came from. I have no verification for any of that. All these Antarctic bases, bases inside ice are stupid. The U.S. learned our lesson trying to build bases inside ice in Greenland after World War II, and it shifted so much it just made everything useless. Hey guys, Seth Rich Truman met with aliens. Give us some juicy counter-narrative conspiracy. If Truman met with aliens, he certainly had a great poker face about it. I mean, if I met with aliens, I would be all blibbity blab blab blab. You could not find an NDA in the world where I would sign and keep that one secret. Or if I did sign, you'd have to sue me, and then you just prove that I was right. So then you just release the fact that the aliens are everywhere. That's a great thing about NDAs, by the way, is that if you're being forced to sign an NDA about something that's like pretty out there, you talking about it and them having to sue you is just admission that you were right, and then boom, the information's out there anyway. So it's just pure vengeance play for them at that point. Hazel Allen? Hazel Allen. Okay, there we go. Hazel Allen. I was like, Hayes Lallen? 3343 Houston. Missed ya. Any BBY info? I Googled BBBY because PP isn't doing any shows. Hopefully it only had old news because I found nothing inspiring for BBY shares. Well, the stuff that's come up in the last few weeks is pretty interesting. Was revelation of this weird swap on the OTC, which would give GME shares to shareholders of BBBY and give GME shares in lieu of cash to bondholders as well, with some sort of opposite side of the swap being these Amazon shares. The trigger date was August 1st. As far as you know, nothing's happened. Although weird things have popped up on certain QSIPs of the bonds. And on certain brokerage apps, the BBY ticker has reappeared with a little value tag and nothing else. So weird things are happening. And then over the weekend, we had this notice from Equinity for some sort of legacy stock that was DRS by people, like splitting off from AST into their own little entity. I don't know what the hell that's all about, but that got people curious and hoping. And the trigger date for that was yesterday, but then as far as you know, nothing happened. So here we sit. That's all we got. Just sitting and waiting. Ron Rose 8595. What's up, Houston? Happy birthday. The other day I asked AI, would wash trading cause barcoding? Yes, wash trading can contribute to a phenomenon known as barcoding on a stock chart. For some reason, I call them my tits. I said call my mind, but I got tits. Okay. Chris Taylor. Anyone have any fun with the BF6 open beta this past weekend? Oh, it's Battlefield. I was like, I don't know what BF6 is. Battlefield. I have not played that, so I don't know. Ron Rose, ADD OCD? Oh, for your thing. Okay. Barcoding. Lisa, national security threat. We can't sell microchips to China unless you throw some money our way. Well, that's another terrible thing that happened this weekend. Was we had national security restrictions on certain types of computer chips being sold to China because they could be used in weapons systems and stuff like that. And so AMD and NVIDIA were banned from selling some of their advanced chips directly to China. Trump just brokered some sort of deal with AMD and NVIDIA that they can, in fact, sell these chips to China so long as the U.S. government gets a 15% cut, which is against the law. It is illegal for us to tax exports to other countries. It's illegal for it. We've had lots of precedent and laws about this. It is against the law. So basically, it's okay to sell potentially weapons to your enemies so long as I get my piece, is what the Trump administration is saying. This is bullshit. This is negotiating individual trade deals with specific companies and rewarding those who play ball and punishing those who don't. And that's not what this country's about. That's garbage. Michael Joe 2UO Houston. It's Burger Week in Portland. What's the best burger you've ever had? And how many burgers do you think you'll eat this year? Last year was 21. Best burger by far was the Old Public House burger here on Bainbridge. Easily the best. I've never had a burger even close anywhere ever. I've had really good burgers elsewhere, but just the standard Harbor Public House burger was the best. They ruined it. They used to own their own cattle grower, and so they get an entire cow once a week, but they didn't really do steak specials. So they just take all the cuts of meat and just make it into burgers. But they wouldn't make it into burgers until you ordered it. So you order a burger, they would fresh grind the meat, pack it into a patty, slap it on the grill, cook it, and the beef was so phenomenal. We're talking tenderloins and ribeyes and everything else going into that burger beef. It was phenomenal. But they since ruined that. When I was going to school in Hawaii, I would spend 4 months at a time in Hawaii just craving a pub burger because all the burgers in Hawaii are trash, just awful, and I could not get a good one anywhere. Couldn't get pickles on a burger over there. It'd be like, pickles, brah. Ugh. And second best burger I ever had. Second best burger I ever had was at the what's the name of it? Pickin' Hotel something pick in Zurich. Hotel. Oh crap. Zurich Hotel Pick. Move and Pick. Yes, Move and Pick Hotel. So it was the airport Move and Pick Hotel back in 2018. I was staying with my friends in Switzerland. My flight was early in the morning, so I left the night before and stayed in the hotel that night. And for some reason, hotels, like everything's expensive in Switzerland except for skiing and hotels. I don't know why those are cheap, but it's like a really, really posh, really fancy hotel. And it was like $90 for what essentially was like a suite. It was amazing. And so I went downstairs and they're like, oh, I need some dinner. And the restaurant was really fancy. And the burger was like 40 something US dollars. I was like, whoa. And it was incredible. It was better, except for Harper Pub burger. It was better than every other burger I've ever had in my entire life. And it was absolutely loaded, eggs, bacon, you name it, just like that big. So if I'm going to pay $40 for a burger, I felt like I got a $40 burger out of this thing, especially for a European style, which I've not had a burger that's knocked me out in Europe yet. I've had lots of burgers in Europe. Like, no, that's a burger. That's how most burgers are. But this thing was Hotel Move and Pick. Good job. How many burgers do I have in a year? I bet 2 burgers a month, probably. That sounds about right. Yeah, probably 2 burgers a month, so 24 in a year. There are weird weeks where I might have like 3 or 4 burgers for some reason, but for the most part, it's probably about a burger every couple of weeks. I used to do when I worked at the Harbor Pub back in college. It was definitely a burger a week, if not more than that, because they were just that good. It's probably shaved years off my life at this point, but I think it was well worth it to get it while I could. They don't make burgers like that anymore, and I've never found one to even come close since. So the last time I had a burger that was even close was that Move and Pick hotel burger in Switzerland in 2018. It would have been January 31st, 2018. So I got that date settled. I do have a lot of burgers still in the freezer, so I probably should be eating a bunch more simply because our 4th of July party wasn't as big as years past, and so we had like 100 extra burgers. We've done some barbecue, had some family over, done some barbecue since then, but we still have like 60 burgers in there. So we have a lot of homework to do. Okay. Oh, the burger thing just vanished. Where'd you go? You were asking about burgers. Portland Burger Week. Lisa saw rumors of COVID outbreak at Alligator Alcatraz, unlikely to have any vaccines or healthcare facility there. There's been documentation of a lot of ambulances coming in and out of Alligator Alcatraz. The state of Florida is being sued on multiple fronts because apparently the whole thing wasn't legal, and they're not giving anyone access to lawyers. They're not treating it like it's a legal entity, and it doesn't appear to be. There's lots of people going hunger strikes inside of there. There's lots of talk about folks having problems with basically flesh-eating bacterias and or mold and or things like trench foot happening because they're in standing water for long periods of time in very humid environments that aren't drying out, and so their skin is like growing mold and stuff. So this starts to qualify under like 8th Amendment violations for cruel and unusual punishment. So hopefully the whole thing just gets shut down, and it'd be nice if we weren't living in a totalitarian government that, wants to find scapegoats and punish everybody and take all homeless people and throw them into prison, because that's what the prison industrial complex craves, is more bodies rather than just, providing healthcare to folks. We could just do that. We could just provide healthcare to folks because 55% of the homeless population has psychosis and the rest are suffering from trauma and addiction. So wouldn't it be nice if instead of just throwing them in prison, we got them the healthcare they needed so that they can become productive members of society? Woo! What a revolutionary idea that would be, huh? And you could permanently house people who actually need it, because there are people who have mental issues that can't be cured, and they need an environment where they can exist and not be an actual, hindrance to society. And I understand that the health of society largely has to do with the aesthetics of society. Like the aesthetics of homeless people being everywhere does harm the collective, welfare. It's traumatic for the population to have to experience people who are homeless day in, day out, and not feeling powerless to do anything about it, things like that. So, if you want to improve your communities, then actually improve your communities. Give everyone national health care. Boom. Now people who are homeless have access to health care. You can get them the treatment they need. You get them the medication they need. Get them the counseling they need, right? The easiest way to cure homelessness is to put people in homes. That's it. Put them in homes. Oh no, that person's homeless? Put them in a home. They're no longer homeless. Done. Easy peasy. Finland did it, and now they don't have any homeless. Wow. And you know what happens also? Let's say you're a homeless person and life's not going your way. You might have PTSD, CPTSD, psychosis, etc. And you got not much to do, and you're in a shitty way, so you do drugs. Why? Because you need to escape, even mentally, from the horrors that is your life. And so you're doing drugs. They're discovering a lot of these folks, you remove them from the street and you put them in the home, drug use drops significantly, even without treatment, because their life has improved so much that oftentimes they don't need to escape, because just having a home is so much better than what was. Have you ever read about Vietnam veterans who were just shooting up heroin like crazy back in Vietnam, and the minute they came back stateside, they never touched heroin again? Why? Because it was living hell in the jungles in Vietnam, And once they're back, they were removed from that environment and they don't need to do the heroin anymore to escape. So sometimes you may appear to have a physiological addiction, but really it's completely an environmental condition. So if you want to help people, just get them homes. Get them the treatment they need. Get them the health care they need. Easy peasy, man. Boom, done. You don't need to take over all of Washington, D.C. and threaten to imprison anybody who's homeless because that doesn't help anything. It just costs a lot of money without actually improving the situation. Eric 6050, what's up on GME side? I don't know. Buck the Bunny's got a Somethingburger, it's all I know. Fabrizio's plopping. Chatterbox is 10th. Luminous Reflections, 28th. Happy birthday, Houston. Lots of love, Monkey Butt and Fat Man. Oh, Monkey Butt. Oh, Monkey Butt went to the floor back here. I don't know where the fat cat is. He was in here earlier, but he's not anymore. This room is getting roasty. What am I in here now? It is 84 degrees in this room, which might be the warmest it's been. I'm very toasty. It's 90 outside today. I feel quite sweaty. Luminous Reflection. Oh, I did that one. Chatter Rocks. Happy birthday. Hope the wedding was fun. Can't wait to watch you when we finally reorganize and our shares are back. Oh, it'd be wonderful, wouldn't it? The wedding was fun. It was a quick trip, almost too quick, down to New Mexico and back. My brother married into a very lovely family, but very, very woo-woo. Not my particular thing. Maybe someone watching right now. Hello, woo-woo family. So I kept it buttons to be able to enjoy the wedding, but there's a lot of astrologers and Reiki and palm readers and tarot card people and psychics and a lot of me going, oh, cool. Although I think the coolest thing is I discovered 2 stepbrothers. Not really sure. I guess stepbrothers once removed. So my dad's first wife, the mother of my 3 oldest siblings, one of her marriages was to a man who already had 2 sons, and I never knew they existed. And they're pretty cool dudes. One of them is an astronomy professor at Taos, New Mexico. So that's awesome. So we talked some nerd talk. That was great. And he's taking care of a Catahoula. So I got to pet a Catahoula named Sweet Pea with like crazy white eyes. Like Monkey's eyes are pretty crazy. This dog's eyes were just, whoa. So that was probably one of the coolest things to come out of that. It was really hot. My stepmom Yuko got heat stroke at the wedding. And then they went home early because she was not feeling well at all. Need to come back up here where it's 90 degrees. So I don't know how much recouping she really got out of that. But it was roasty toasty. A desert wedding in summertime is a lot. But those people from New Mexico, so they really didn't notice. Us Northwesterners were like, yeah. You know, the band was really good. The ceremony was lovely. A lot of cool shirts, man. I fit right in. I was like, that's a cool shirt. That's a cool shirt. That's a cool shirt. Everyone had like cool patterns going on. I really appreciate that. Yeah. A lot of New Mexican food. Had blue corn pancakes. Walked around a lot of art galleries. What's interesting is there's in Santa Fe there's a thing called Canyon Road, which is like you go there to look at the art galleries, like go into art museums because there's so many galleries that just line the road. And we went in those galleries, and like the work is really good. It's some of it's phenomenal pieces of art. But a lot of it is like a bronze cowboy, but another generic painting of some New Mexican like mountain. And you're like, okay, I understand it's New Mexico. People come here to get New Mexico stuff. But after like your 10th, 12th, 14th, 20th art gallery where it's mostly the same thing over and over again and not seeing anything that's really like pushing the envelope, went into town and the art galleries there were like really different. A lot more like avant-garde, a lot more like artwork that was like challenging things or just out there. And I was like, this stuff's way cooler. The best one I saw was this art gallery. This lady does like embroideries and I wish I remember the name of it. She does embroideries and quilts. And in the front was this like ballroom dress, like big hoop skirt type thing. and it was just embroidered with like bunnies and hawks and snakes, and it was gorgeous. Absolutely so cool. It was only $65,000. So if you ladies want to wear a really cool dress or something, that'll be it. But inside, she also had like embroidered taxidermy goats, taxidermy geese and stuff. It was cool. The quilts, the quilts weren't really my thing, but the embroidery I thought was really awesome. Yeah, the in like the main portion of the plaza, the art galleries seem to have a lot more kind of cutting edge type art rather than just like another bronze cowboy bucking on a horse with a picture of a native guy like blowing smoke on a fire or something. So, and then there was a really good. We were in the park waiting for one of my siblings to come for lunch, and there was some Navajo doing dances, kind of like buskers. They're beating drums and chanting, and they're doing dances. Really beautiful. And then this mariachi wedding band came marching out of the church with like the entire wedding party following them, and they marched around the entire plaza doing songs. And it was I don't know if I've ever seen so much joy on people's faces as everyone just like getting on behind that band. That was a lot of fun. Even though like the Navajo dudes like work, oh, we'll stop for like 5 minutes while these families do their thing, and they like bob their heads and dance to it. It was fun. So I had a nice time. I just wish I could have spent more time down there. I was with my mom, so I was her driver, and we went and we went everywhere. And my mom's a really slow walker. That's probably one part that was killing me. She's got two replaced hips in her, and she can she only walks so fast. And we get through the day, she's like, "Whoa, I did 10,000 steps," and I was like, "I did 3,500." It's I cannot walk at this pace. This is so slow. That's one thing that really, it's like, whew. So I got a lot less seen. It was lovely to spend time with my mother, and she could see all these things. She'd never really been there before, but man, it was slow. Okay. Where am I now? I was asking you about the thing, wedding, Portland, healthcare, Alcatraz. Oh, okay. Hot Pocket Rebel, the authoritarian takeover of DC is terrifying. What in the North Korea is going on here? It is exactly what the Nazis did. When the Nazis got to power, remember they got to power with only about 30% of the vote. So it was a plurality. It wasn't a majority of the population. It was a plurality, meaning it was more than the other people, but not 50% plus one. When they got to power, what they did, and their excuse was, okay, if these groups aren't behind us, we're going to take our little brown shirts and our Gestapo and whatnot, and we're gonna usurp their authority in their local towns, and then our brown shirts are going to run everything. So basically, they would replace the police forces with Nazi forces, and that's exactly what Trump's doing. He's not going to send these groups into red states. That's not going to happen because red states are already behind him. He's going to send them into major cities in blue states, which are the power sources of the opposition and where the money comes from. And they're going to take over the inner workings of government and put their little Nazi people in charge everywhere until the entire city falls under that. So it's going to be up to these governors of these blue states to tell their National Guard, hell no, you're not doing that. Fuck you if you try. And there's going to be some serious lines drawing in the sand there. So, like I think Gavin Newsom made a mistake by letting his own National Guard be used that way in LA. He should have said, no, you guys aren't going anywhere. And if you do go, you aren't getting paid. And you can't take your equipment with you because that's mine. So that's basically what should happen. Yeah, it's awful. Jose Rosario, welcome back, Houston. Thank you. Luis Gonzalez, did meme stocks fuel some sort of liquidity for the 1%? I haven't seen many hedge funds claim daily losses daily on borrowing fees. The hedge funds aren't really making any money though. If the hedge funds had just not done any of the plays they did and just put their money into the S&P 500 every year since 2021, they would be the highest earning hedge funds in the world. But for the most part, most hedge funds have been losing money or not even coming close to beating the S&P 500 at this point. So I think a lot of them are completely over leveraged, and they're trying the best they can to keep everyone from seeing that. Yeah. Scott Paul in Houston, which mansion on the island has the best landscaping? Oh, Bladell Reserve. Let's pull it up. By far, I mean they literally won Scott's Lawn best lawn in America. Here we go. So San Juan's, Bainbridge, up here is Bladell Reserve. This guy here. So come on, give me some pixels. I have to close you so that this happens. It won't give me pixels. So let's try it again. Come on. 1 sec. Come on, dude. Are you doing it? Come on. Initializing. Here we go. There we are. All right, give me pixels. North. Boink. So up here, this is the Bladell Reserve. It was made by a timber baron. It's a French-style chateau mansion. The lawn here was literally named the best lawn in America. Let's see if we can get some pictures of this. Is Bladell Reserve. This is Scott's Lawn's best lawn in America, according to Scott's Lawns. There's probably some other pictures from here. I think there are. There's got some more. Is this another one? That's the same lawn. But that's the Bladell Manor House there. The Bladells, I think, owned the Port Madison Mill, which was one of the largest mills in the world at the time. And his wife really wanted like a European-style mansion. There's 160 acres in the Bladell Reserve, so it's a big section of land. And on it there's little pieces of like famous architecture around. So that's the manor house itself, kind of French style, whatever. But there's like other cool little buildings all over the place. Nope, not that one. Just the same picture over and over again. How about you? What do you got for me? Here we go. There's like a Japanese garden. You walk around. You pay some money to go in. It's really lovely. There's cooler pictures in this. I don't know why. This is what they got. That's the manor house again. But they'll do live concerts here. So like bands will come and also play out in the lawn, and they do cool things like that. What else we got? Nope. I don't know. But that's easily the best landscaping on the island. There's probably some mansions I don't know about. The south end of the island, this guy here, the Country Club. They have the first golf course in Washington. It was made sometime in the 1800s. It's got sand greens. You can see these circles here are the sand greens. But inside, it's pretty cool landscaping inside their little conclave of fancy houses there. It's kind of hard to see because it's full of trees. But you're gonna cool pictures here? No, because it's all inside of that. I'm sure there's probably other mansions. I'm sure these spots with big old green things, these are probably all big fancy mansions. There's a bunch of huge houses along here. I don't know, but for the most part, people here, they don't go for like the big ostentatious gardens. They like grow their sweet peas and do stuff like that. So I don't really know what else would qualify. Or they're just farms, but there's lots of people have big flowery gardens and stuff. But yeah, probably the Bladell Reserve is the one. You need to go away. All right. Scott Pollan. Where'd you go, Scott Pollan? Luis Gonzalez. Where? Whoop. Oh, it seems like we're stacking GME. Talking about these like BlackRock and stuff, adding more GME. Well, they have to report how much they have legally, and they are adding more to their pile. But BlackRock will never add more than like 9%. They don't want to be insiders with any of that stuff. They get 7 to 9% in every single company on the stock market. And so if shares have been sold into the market and their position drops, they will buy more to make sure they're at that 7 to 9% area. Well, Danny Motes wants to know what's new with BBBY or Beyond. Well, Beyond has their deal with Kirkland, which is now True Home or something weird like that. And they are opening up physical stores. They started accepting legacy coupons and supposedly legacy gift cards. I haven't had verification on that. If they're accepting legacy gift cards, that means that as impaired creditors, they've been made whole, which is very interesting. If that's what's happening, if those gift cards from old Bed Bath and Beyond are being used with new Bed Bath and Beyond, that means they've been made whole, and that aspect of the company has been given to Bed Bath and Beyond to use. So that is a very interesting turn of events. If that's what's happened. That means waterfall is happening. So I might warrant a chin stroke or two. Z, oh my god, do with Nub. Yeah, Battlefield 6 is pretty good. I can't wait to play more on Thursday. Natural variation. What are the warning signs of basics being bilked? Social Security, Medicare, etc. Where are the guardrails and how do they work? The guardrails have all been fired. So anyone who works in like the government accounting office or for the auditors, they've all been fired. So I don't know if there is any guardrails. At this point, the best guardrail you have is hopefully like a local news broadcast takes up your case and publicizes it and embarrasses whoever's actually in charge of those things into doing the right thing at some point. But yeah. 4-door VIP. Evergrande delisting August 25th. What's your take? They should have been delisted a long time ago. I mean, they're $300 billion in debt with no hope of paying anything back. They got nothing. There's nothing left to that company. So yeah, it should be gone a long time ago. Zero Dad knew Nub, the stream just died or just me? Maybe you, hopefully, because I hope I'm not talking to a wall the entire time. Monkey butt. Aw. And if you monkey butt right after you scratch Troop's tummy. What's up, BBY? Oh, Troop is not here to get his tummy scratched. Which is the BBY. Chris Taylor, Trump is taking over DC police so that there will be no one to stop him next time he does an insurrection. Everything he's doing is to remain in place indefinitely. You don't take the tours that he's been doing of the White House with the people he's doing it with unless you are planning expansions to the mansion to be there long term. His whole spending $200+ million on a giant 90,000 square foot ballroom that is, 2.5 times the size of the current White House. That is the actions of a man who never plans to leave. And he's told you many times that he's not going anywhere. People will be like, we're thinking about a third term. He's like, oh no, but I'll do it if I want to. Right? Oh, you just need to vote now. You'll never have to vote again. That's what he tells everybody because he has no plans on going anywhere. He is going to stay. He will not go. He will stay because he knows if he goes, he's going to spend the last few years of his life in prison. So the only way he can stay out of prison is by being in the White House for as long as possible. So he ain't going anywhere. Joe Vasquez, nothing but miserable news. Pretty much. I mean, the Mariners have won 9 of the last 10, so that's good news, I guess. So we got that. Cal Raleigh still leading the home run race. That's positive news as far as I'm concerned. Oh. RV608 says what? And then RV6 says Turkish. Okay. Olga Toswatsky, who talked about legacy stock. Sears deadline is ending of January 2026 for it to come back tax free. Let's hope. I'm so sick of waiting. I don't know if I don't know if who knows who will even be here in January 2026. That's at the rate things are going. Kelly Reid, Canada's economy lost 40,000 jobs in July, steady at 6.9% unemployment. That's a lot of jobs to lose for a small country like that. I'm sure a lot of it's related to stupid American tariff crap. Your exports probably down to the U.S., who's your largest trade partner. It seems to me that the Canadian government is doing a good job looking for places to export beef, export agriculture to China and elsewhere, making trade deals with Europe. I think in the long run, you'll probably pull out of this better than the United States will, who has burned every bridge that we have. So, foreigners just ain't coming here anymore. Kerry also says Trump tariffs are having a huge positive impact on stock market. Trump also says it would be 1929 all over again, a Great Depression, if a radical left court ruled against him. Buckle up. We're headed towards that anyway, with no safety net right now. So there's like, I've asked people to show me a positive economic indicator, something positive. All they have is that the SPY is at record highs, but real estate is crumbling, tourism is crumbling, ag is crumbling, retail is crumbling, construction is crumbling. Like, there is nothing positive that can keep this bubble inflated. 10 companies of the S&P 500 are responsible for over 76% of its performance. Just 10. This is insane. Of those 10 companies, they basically represent almost all of earnings. Earnings been flat for the last 3 years in the S&P 500, except for those 10 companies. So they call the S&P 490 or everything else. That's not healthy, man. It's not healthy. Kevin says if economy crashes, he'll blame Biden. Yeah, that's true. Oh, I gotta go on. I'm very warm. Tomorrow, there'll be a show at some point tomorrow. I'm not sure when. My sister and her niece and nephew are coming to the island. So I gotta do stuff with them tomorrow. It's August. We'll just figure it out and it comes along as it comes along. You folks have a great day. Sorry if I didn't get to your questions. We'll try to do that at some point tomorrow. And now the cat is yelling to come in. And I'll see you folks then. Shut up, cat. Shut up. I'll be there in a second. Don't stop meowing.